Hey, hey, hey. For the ones that are not having lunch or that are having uh, just a break before lunch or after lunch. So I'm going to talk about trademarks and domain names. So anybody's interested by trademarks? Anybody knows about trademarks, That's the question. Because if you're here, you probably know about domain names, right? And so Helmut's invited me to talk, and I said, let's try to find a subject that is interesting, to the audience, because otherwise, if it's not authentic, it's got to talk about me. It's got to talk about what I've been doing in my life, and so basically, in short, I'm coming from the trademark world. I used to be a European trademark attorney, and so I've seen what trademark was, and I jumped to the into the domain name field for now over 10 years. So I know like both worlds, and I also know from the inside what it means, to deal with a trademark and to deal with a domain name, and how people tackle the issue. So that's why I thought it might be an interesting subject to talk about these two different um, concepts. So first of all, so what is a trademark? Uh, a trademark basically is, what is it? It's a distinctive sign. So it means that if you want to apply for a trademark, it's got to be distinctive. So, for example, if you apply for a trademark, uh, I know like the Americans, they love that they apply for trademarks that are fully descriptive, and then they make it distinctive through the use. Uh, you know, uh, Rent a car, for example, is a good example. If you apply for this trademark initially, you'll be just rejected because it's not distinctive itself. So the first thing is that it's got to be distinctive. The second main point about a trademark, it's linked to your product and services. So when you apply for a trademark, you have to apply to a trademark for a given product. So if you're selling computers, it's got to be linked to computers. You know, it cannot be. It could be everything. It's costly, but it could be everything. The third concept is territoriality. It means that when you're applying for a trademark, you're applying for a trademark for a given country or a given region. For example, the European trademark, or in Africa, you have also some OAP, which are like a region of countries. So that's that, and the duration is 10 years. So that's also a key point. 10 years. It's a long time, but it's a short time as well. But it's really essential to have that in mind too. Mm. So, what is a domain name? So, a domain name, it's the concept is totally different, and so basically, the idea behind this little talk is to say, are trademarks and domain names brothers or strangers? That's the idea, and that's really what you need to think about while we're talking here. And so, are we talking about brothers? Are we talking about strangers? So, first of all, in these two first slides, uh, I've just introduced the basic concepts of trademarks. And here are the basic concepts of domain names that you all know. It's an internet identifier, first come, first serve. Of course, for ccTLDs, the rules are sometimes specific. You need to qualify, show that you have a trademark already or company name in order to qualify. The duration is different. Typically, companies, they register for 1 year, and as opposed to 10 years for domain names. And the geographic um, uh, concept is totally different because there's no territoriality. It's global. So it's really you're registering globally, except when you're applying for a ccTLDs where it's going to be more linked to the given country or region. So these are the basic concepts. And when you look at these basic concepts, the answer to the question, brothers or strangers, is they're strangers because they're totally different concepts. Okay? And this is also the reason why globally, in many aspects, when companies deal with trademarks and domain names, they don't talk to the same people and they don't deal with it the same way. And the strategy in many cases is not aligned because they think about it as strangers while they should think about it as brothers. And why are they brothers? Basically, they're brothers because both of them are digital assets. They're basically fulfilling the same goal, is to identify a brand. One of them is the identification of the brand online, and the other one is on the commerce itself, on the products and services on the commerce itself. But the main goal is this one. So despite the fact that the concepts behind is totally different, the the goal is exactly the same, and the application is actually is really similar. So they should be dealt with and considered as brothers. Because I remember when I was working as a trademark attorney, and even like friends, they talk to you. It's like, what are you doing in your life and so on. And like, I'm a trademark attorney. It's like, man, you look cool. You must be dealing with like complex things. And as opposed, when I started to work in the domain name field, and people were asking questions, I was like, you're just a geek, and you're just like registering domains. Whenever if they understood what it was dealing with, they were like, this is something really basic. While at the very end, the two are actually, in terms of strategy, the two are actually identical and working. But that's why I always say, I'm working in the online brand field, while as opposed to like trademark is just like uh, the commerce field. So um, basically, here are some example. The strategy. So basically, here are some key concepts about the strategy to make sure that trademark and domain names are dealt with the same way. And why is it so important to deal with them the same way? Is that it's to be able to make sure that you are being correctly protected, not only on the commerce, but also online. So you have to, first of all, keep a centralized management. While a centralized management, because if you have one person maybe in one country that talks a language and the other person that talks a different language somewhere else, it's going to be hard to make a decision. That's the first point. The second point is, so you have to, first of all, think about like, what do you want to protect first? The first thing you want to protect is your brand itself. It's like nothing else than the brand, and determine, okay, first of all, I'm going to do the .com, .net, just the brand itself and the key TLDs. Afterwards, you need to go to country domains. So country domains and regional domains are essential. Why are they essential? Because they're giving you SEO power. They're giving you also proximity with your customers. And of course, they are avoiding cyber squatting from potential people who will register the domain. New GTLDs that come out in the market, Then afterwards, you have to make sure that you monitor your brand for against infringement, and that you take the necessary actions against potential infringers. So the centralized management, it's like you need to keep like a corporate domain registrar, uh, have all your domains under one account, make sure it's fully secured, 2FA, DNSSEC, and maintain all your WHOIS records. Then all the primary brands, so basically .com, .net, .org, the most important ccTLDs, and afterwards all the new gTLDs. And as I said, then you need to set up a domain monitoring service in order to have a proper view of what's going on in the market. When you do your monitoring service, it's important that it's not linked to just the trademark itself, but also to all the variations of the brand. And then you have to take action, and take action means basically sending all the cease and desist letter, website takedowns, filing UDRPs if required, and this will basically be concrete actions that will enable you to avoid that your domains are being cyber squatted. So I wanted to give a few concrete figures and examples. So first of all, maybe do you have any questions now about what we've been through? Anything? Do you have any question? No? Okay, so regarding the concept of trademark, I would say that initially what I've seen in many cases is that companies, they consider the trademarks as the real corporate assets, while the domain names as technical expenses. And since this view is going to be the one that will actually determine the way the decision will be made, they are not investing the same way in trademarks as in domains. So just to give some figures, depending on the industry, do you know how many domain names are being registered per trademark? Just an idea. It's like for one trademark, how many domain names? Now for one trademark, 100,000? No. 600? I mean, that's beautiful. That, if every company registered, yeah, that's big. So, okay, here are some. But so I just looked at some data from the industry, and so basically based on the industry, for like the internet companies, so I would say the ones that are the most aware of the importance of domain names, it's 60, around 60. So it means like one trademark, they register 60 domains. So basically .com, .net, a few, let's say maybe 30 countries, and a few new gTLDs. So it's about 60. So not bad. These are the the best guys. Afterwards, if you go to the finance company, you're around 20. If you go to the automotive or pharmaceutical, you're below 12. So one trademark, 10 domains. You're talking about almost nothing. So what is the consequence of this overall unawareness of domain names compared to trademarks? The consequence is that you will end up having a lot of cyber squatting. So what does it mean? Cyber squatting means that you will end up having people that purchase domains. For example, let's say a case like Groupon. Back in the 2011. They invested in trademarks, but the domain Groupon.com AU in Australia got bought by a third party. So they did not have access. They couldn't get this domain back, and they had even to change their name in Australia. So the consequence in terms of reputation and in terms of access to the market can be huge. In some cases, cyber squatting can mean that the companies will have to pay out huge amount of money, usually thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, just to buy back a .com typically. And I remember like some examples, for example, of bad reputation. There was a case of for Madonna. Madonna, she didn't have the .com, and there was one guy who registered Madonna.com and used it for adult content. So it was terrible for her reputation. So she had to fight, spend a lot of money to get it back, but the overall impact on her reputation was huge, because what happened is really hard to erase afterwards. And also, and that's something that that's really important today. Phishing. There's a lot of phishing today. I can see, like from my experience from 10 years ago until today, there is maybe 10 times more cases of phishing. Before, it was like, you had one case of phishing and it was totally isolated. Today, you have phishing everywhere, and the thing is, you get the phishing case, and the same guys, they attack everywhere at the same time. So, like, as a brand, you're totally lost. It's like, and suddenly your clients come and they say, what are we doing? But it's too late. In most cases, it's like you just didn't align your strategy between your trademark and your domain name. So it's too late. If it's too late, we will try to do something, but your reputation will be harmed. That's for sure. And there will be a real need to then set up a proper strategy. And so I've seen cases like this for banks, because banks are really are good. I remember actually one case. It was really funny. There was one guy. He was registering domain names, and he was really attacking banks. And so he was setting up the nice bank pages. And I said, let's alert the banks. And I remember, I sent some emails to the banks saying, hey guys, be careful. You're having some guys that are really like getting the info of your clients and trying to, get their bank details and so on. They never replied. I sent the email, I think, a second time after 1 week or two, and they never replied. And he was dealing with many banks, actually. So that was actually pretty funny. And I've seen it even with a famous watch brand that did not use it, the phishing case, but they did not use it with the domain name itself, but instead they just activated the MX in order to use the emails, and they were sending, they got the list of some of their clients, and they were sending out some emails to their clients. And when we got alerted, so we could take action, but the impact on reputation can be huge. So that's why, again, what we can see in conclusion in the industry, especially coming from the trademark industry, is that the trademark industry has still today a hard time being in line with the domain name industry, just like because they are considering them as strangers while they are brothers. I would say that the trademarks are the big brothers because everything is initiated from the trademark, and afterwards it becomes like thousands of or hundreds of domain names, but they must be considered as brothers, and they must be the strategy must be thought as a single strategy and not as a separate strategy. Do you have any questions? And yep, go ahead, Joe.
Put a shall easy brand you creating a brands. What's more important? We get trademark or did that not the way?
So the most important, I would say, is to. So the question of Joe is, you're launching a new brand. What is the most important? Is it to register first the .com or register first the trademark? The answer is definitely register first the .com. In this case, what is recommended is to use some kind of anonymization service, because this helps to avoid third parties and typically cyber squatters, to do this kind of what they call trolling attacks, whereby they see that you start registering domains, and they will start registering even trademarks in their own name, and which will never be used, but which will be a real hindrance. So first register the .com, because the .com will, if it's lost, it's going to be really hard to get it back. And afterwards register the trademark. So that's why, at some point, that's how important domains have become. It's in terms of thinking today, you need to think domain first, because it's your online presence, and your online presence becomes like this. Yeah. Any other questions? And so yeah, just to conclude, so yeah, that was the basic concept. Align your strategy. These two concepts are brothers. They're brothers, and actually, my I mean, to talk about my life, I'm into the domain name business because trademarks and domain names are brothers. Otherwise, I would never have been uh, into this field. So, and I think they are not only brothers, and they're like good friends. Yeah. Thank you.